Would you get a DNA test for your kids if you discovered your husband had been lying about working late for 12 years? The 23andMe kit came as a Christmas gift for my sister, one of those Ancestry DNA tests that everyone was doing. It'll be fun, she'd said. We can compare our results and see if we have any surprise relatives. I'd laughed it off, put the kit in a drawer, forgot about it for 3 months. Then my daughter Emma, 13 years old, asked if she could do it for a school genetics project. She needed to understand inheritance patterns, trace family traits, that kind of thing. Sure, I said, pulling out the forgotten kit. Actually, let's all do it. Me, you, and your brother. We can make it a family thing. My son Jake was 10. He thought spitting in a tube was hilarious. Emma was very serious about following the instructions exactly. I did mine last, barely paying attention, just going through the motions so the kids could have their results. We mailed them off on a Tuesday in March. The website said results would take 6 to 8 weeks. I forgot about it again. Life was busy, work was demanding. I was a project manager at a tech company, constantly juggling deadlines. The kids had school and sports and social drama. My husband David traveled constantly for a sales job, gone 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes more. It had always been that way. 12 years of marriage, 12 years of him being gone more than he was home. I'd gotten used to it, single parenting most of the time, managing the household alone, making all the decisions because David was on the road. He was a good provider, made great money, sent it home faithfully, called every night when he was traveling, seemed devoted to me and the kids despite the crazy schedule. I never questioned it. Why would I? He was working, providing for us. That's what good husbands do. The email from 23andMe came on a Thursday morning. Your DNA results are ready. I clicked through, curious but not particularly invested. Looked at my ancestry breakdown, mostly European, some surprises in there. Cool. Looked at the genetic traits. Interesting. Then I clicked on DNA relatives, the feature that shows you people who share your DNA, relatives you might not know about, distant cousins, that kind of thing. Emma had 3 close DNA matches. Me, obviously, Jake, her brother, and someone named Jennifer M. Relationship, half-sibling, 25% DNA shared. I stared at that line for probably 5 minutes. Half-sibling. Emma had a half-sibling, someone who shared one parent with her. My mind went to David's family. Maybe he had a child from before we met, a relationship he'd never mentioned. It would be weird that he'd never told me, but maybe it was complicated. Maybe there was a good explanation. I clicked on Jennifer M's profile. Public information. Female, 14 years old, location listed as Portland, Oregon. Portland. We lived outside Seattle. David's sales territory was the entire Pacific Northwest. He spent a lot of time in Portland. 14 years old, 1 year older than Emma. The math clicked into place with sickening clarity. If Jennifer was Emma's half-sibling through David, and Jennifer was 14, that meant David had another child, a child born 1 year before Emma, while we were married. But that didn't make sense. People don't just have secret children. There would have been something, some evidence, some sign. I clicked on Jake's results next, hands shaking now, heart pounding. Jake also had 3 close DNA matches, me, Emma, and Jennifer M. Half-sibling, 25% DNA shared. Both my children had the same half-sibling, which meant Jennifer shared the same father as both of them. David had another child, a child he'd never mentioned, a 14-year-old daughter living in Portland. I checked my own DNA matches, knowing what I'd find, but needing to see it confirmed. No match to Jennifer M. She didn't share my DNA at all, which meant she definitely wasn't my child from some forgotten previous relationship or family member. She was David's daughter from someone else. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my laptop screen, trying to make sense of this, trying to find an innocent explanation that didn't exist. David had cheated, had a child from that affair, had been hiding this child for 14 years. Or something worse, something I didn't want to think about but couldn't avoid. I searched Jennifer M's profile for more information, found her public family tree. Limited information, but enough. Mother, Jennifer Martinez, born 1985. Father, blank. Sibling, Michael M., age 11. Michael, a brother, 11 years old. I searched for Michael in the DNA matches, found him listed under Emma's relatives, half-sibling, 25% DNA shared. Jake's relatives, Michael M., half-sibling, 25% DNA shared. My DNA, no match. David had 2 other children, 2 kids I'd never heard of, a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son with someone named Jennifer Martinez living in Portland. The timeline crystallized in my mind. Jennifer, the daughter, was born 14 years ago, 1 year into our marriage. Michael was born 11 years ago, 2 years after Emma. David didn't just cheat once. He had an ongoing relationship with this woman, a relationship that had produced 2 children over the span of our entire marriage. I opened a private browser window and searched Jennifer Martinez, Portland, Oregon. Found her Facebook profile, public. Thank God for people who don't understand privacy settings. Her profile picture showed a woman about my age, early 40s, pretty, smiling, normal. Her cover photo destroyed my world. It was a family photo, professional, recent based on the styling. Jennifer Martinez standing with 2 kids, a teenage girl and a younger boy, and David, my David, standing with his arm around this woman, smiling at the camera like this was his family, like this was normal. I scrolled through her photos with trembling hands, found more. David at the kids' birthday parties, David at school events, David at Christmas, opening presents with children that weren't mine. The photos were captioned, Family Beach Day, Date Night with My Love, 12 years together and still going strong. 12 years, the exact length of my marriage to David. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Actually vomited from the shock and betrayal and complete disorientation of my entire reality shattering. David didn't just have an affair. David had an entire second family, a whole separate life in Portland with another woman and 2 kids who thought he was their full-time father, while I thought I was married to a traveling salesman. I checked his travel schedule in the shared calendar we kept. He was in Portland right now, had been there since Monday, wasn't due home until Saturday. 5 days in Portland with his other family. I looked at the pattern of his trips over the past year. Portland at least twice a month, usually for 3 to 5 days at a time, sometimes more. I thought he was working, building client relationships, closing deals. He'd send me photos from hotel rooms and restaurants, complained about being lonely on the road, called me every night saying he missed me. All lies, all calculated, systematic lies. While he was telling me goodnight from his hotel room, he was probably tucking his other children into bed. While he was saying he missed me, he was probably sitting on a couch with his other wife, girlfriend, partner. What did Jennifer think their relationship was? I pulled up Jennifer's Facebook again, looked for a relationship status. It said, in a relationship. Clicked to see who. The profile was private, but the tagged photos suggested David, David at her family events, David in couple photos, David very clearly presented as her partner. Did she know about me? Did she think David was single? Or did she just know he was married and just not care? I searched for wedding photos, didn't find any, so maybe they weren't married. Maybe David at least hadn't committed bigamy on top of everything else. That thought made me laugh hysterically, like bigamy would have been worse than 12 years of living a complete double life. I needed to talk to someone, needed to verify this wasn't some kind of breakdown, that I wasn't misunderstanding the DNA results somehow. I called my sister, the one who'd given me the DNA kit. Hey, she answered cheerfully. Did you get your results? Did you find any surprises? Rachel, I need you to come over, now. It's an emergency. She was there in 20 minutes. I showed her everything, the DNA results, the Facebook photos, the timeline, the 2 children my husband had with another woman. Rachel went through the same shock I did. Denial, confusion, anger, horror. Holy shit, she kept saying. Holy shit, this can't be real. It's real. Look at the DNA percentages. Look at the photos. It's all real. What are you going to do? I have no idea. I don't even know how to process this. David has been lying to me for our entire marriage. Our entire marriage. Everything is a lie. You need a lawyer, like immediately, before you confront him, before you do anything. She was right. I needed legal advice, needed to protect myself and my kids, needed to understand my options before David knew I'd found out. Because once he knew, he'd disappear or lawyer up or do whatever people do when their double life gets exposed. I had maybe 2 days before he came home from Portland. 2 days to figure out my next move. I spent those 2 days gathering evidence, screenshots of everything, Jennifer's Facebook, the DNA results, David's travel calendar, bank statements. I pulled 12 years of bank statements and started looking for patterns. And I found them. Withdrawals in Portland, purchases at grocery stores, restaurants, kids' stores, all while he was supposedly traveling for work. Our joint credit card showed business expenses, hotels, dinners, client entertainment, all legitimate on the surface. But I found his personal credit card statement, the one he said was just for emergencies. It told a different story: mortgage payments to an address in Portland, utility bills, school fees, insurance, everything you'd pay for a household. David was financially supporting two families, two households, two complete lives. How had I never noticed? How had I been this blind? But I knew how. I'd trusted him completely, implicitly. Why would I question his business trips? Why would I audit his expenses? I'd had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. Until a random DNA test for a school project exposed 12 years of lies.
The lawyer's office was in downtown Seattle. Expensive, highly rated, specializing in high-conflict divorce and family law. I'd made the appointment using a fake name, paid in cash, didn't want any paper trail that David might see. The lawyer, Catherine Morrison, was exactly what I needed. Late 50s, sharp eyes, the kind of person who'd seen every variation of marital disaster and couldn't be shocked. I showed her everything: the DNA tests, the Facebook photos, the financial evidence, the 12-year timeline. She took notes without visible reaction. When I finished, she looked up. This is one of the most elaborate double life cases I've encountered. 12 years, two families, complete parallel lives. That takes planning, calculation, systematic deception. What do I do? First, don't confront him yet. We need to secure evidence, get financial records, document everything. Once he knows you're aware, he'll start hiding assets and building his defense. What about the other woman, Jennifer? Should I contact her? Not yet. We don't know what she knows. If she's aware he's married, she might tip him off. If she doesn't know, telling her could cause chaos before we're ready. She has to know. They've been together 12 years. How could she not know? You'd be surprised. Some people are very good at compartmentalizing. He might have told her he's divorced, or separated, or that you're in an unhappy marriage but staying together for the kids. There are 1,000 lies he could have told. Catherine walked me through the legal strategy. File for divorce immediately, cite adultery and fraud, pursue full custody based on his deception and inability to be a reliable parent. Go after his assets. All of them. The house, the retirement accounts, everything. He's been using marital funds to support another family. That's financial infidelity. We can argue he wasted marital assets. You're entitled to compensation. What about his other kids, Jennifer's kids? Legally, they're not your concern. They're his financial obligation, which will impact what he can pay and support. But they're not part of your divorce. They're my kids' siblings, half-siblings. That DNA test connected them. What am I supposed to tell Emma and Jake? That's a personal decision, but from a legal standpoint, you don't have to tell them anything until you're ready, and you definitely don't tell them before we file papers and serve David. I spent the next week in a fog, going through motions, getting the kids to school, going to work, acting normal while planning to detonate my entire life. David came home that Saturday, walked in with his rolling suitcase and that tired smile he always had after a business trip. "Missed you guys," he said, hugging the kids. I watched him interact with Emma and Jake, watched him ask about their week, help with homework, make dinner, play video games. Normal dad stuff, while hiding two other children he did the same things with. The performance was flawless. He didn't seem guilty or nervous or different. Just normal David, tired from travel, happy to be home, asking about my week, kissing me goodnight. I slept in the same bed as him that night, felt him put his arm around me, heard him say "I love you" before falling asleep, and I felt nothing but rage. Sunday morning, I told him I needed to run errands. Instead, I drove to a storage unit I'd rented under my name, moved boxes of evidence there, documents, hard drives with backed up files, copies of everything. If David tried to destroy evidence later, I had backups. Monday, Catherine filed the divorce papers, comprehensive, brutal, listing every piece of evidence, every lie, every betrayal. David would be served at work on Wednesday. Catherine recommended serving him in a public place where he couldn't make a scene. "What about Jennifer?" I asked. "Do I tell her before he's served?" "That's up to you, but if you do, be prepared for blowback. She might warn him, might deny everything, might blame you somehow." I decided to contact her because she deserved to know, because maybe she was a victim too. Or maybe she knew, and I wanted to see her reaction. I created a fake Facebook account, sent Jennifer a message Tuesday night. "You don't know me, but I need to talk to you about David. It's urgent. Please call me." I included my phone number. She called within an hour, voice cautious. Who is this? My name is Sarah. I'm David's wife. Silence. Long, shocked silence. I think you have the wrong person. I don't know any David who's married. David Chen works in medical device sales, travels constantly, spends a lot of time in Portland. Is that your David? Yes, but David's not married. We've been together 12 years. He's not married. He is, to me. For 12 years, we have 2 children, Emma, 13, Jake, 10, and according to the DNA test my daughter took for a school project, your children are their half-siblings. More silence. I could hear her breathing, rapid, panicked. This isn't funny. If this is some kind of prank, it's not. I'm sending you photos right now of David at our house with our kids, our wedding photos, 12 years of marriage while he's been telling you, what, that he's single? Divorced? I sent the photos while we were on the phone, heard her sharp intake of breath as she looked at them. Oh my God, this can't be real. It's real. He's been living a double life, 2 families, 2 complete separate lives. I just found out because of the DNA test. Did you not know? No. He told me, he said he was divorced years ago, bad marriage, no kids. He said he traveled for work. I never thought. She started crying, full sobs over the phone, and despite everything, I felt bad for her. He told me the same lies, that he traveled for work, that he missed us, that he loved us, all while building a life with you. Where is he now? Home, with me and the kids. He's supposed to be going back to Portland on Thursday, to you. I'm going to kill him. I'm actually going to kill him. Get in line. I'm divorcing him. My lawyer is serving him tomorrow. I wanted you to know before that happened, because you deserve to know, and because your kids deserve to know their father is a fraud. My kids, oh God, my kids. How do I tell them their father has another family? I don't know. I'm still figuring that out myself. We stayed on the phone for 2 hours, comparing stories, filling in gaps, realizing how comprehensively David had lied to both of us. Jennifer thought David lived in Portland full-time, worked locally, traveled occasionally for regional sales. He'd shown her an apartment he said was his. Turns out he was renting it just for the cover story. That was thought to be his home. He spent weekdays with her and the kids, told her he had sales events and conferences. Those weekends he was with me and my kids. He'd created perfectly balanced schedules, a week at home with me, telling me he was traveling, then travel to Portland, where he'd spend time with Jennifer and the kids. Neither of us knew. We'd both been completely deceived. What are you going to do? I asked her. I don't know. I can't afford to raise 2 kids alone. I work part-time because David said he would support us. He pays for everything, the house, the bills, the kids' school. If he's supporting your family too, he's going to lose everything. The divorce will take most of his assets, child support for my kids, probably child support for yours too if you pursue it. I don't want his money. I want him to never see my children again. Same, but we should take the money anyway. Make him pay for what he did. We made a plan. Both of us would pursue legal action, both document everything, both fight for our kids and our share of the assets David had built while lying to everyone. I hope you destroy him, Jennifer said before we hung up. I will, I promised. We both will.
David was served at his office on Wednesday at 2 p.m. The process server confirmed he'd received the papers and looked shocked. He called me 17 times in the next hour. I didn't answer. Let him panic. Let him wonder how much I knew. Finally, he texted, "We need to talk. I'm coming home." "Don't." I texted back. "I know everything. About Jennifer, about the kids, about your 12 years of lies. Stay away from this house or I'm calling the police." "Sarah, please, I can explain." "There's no explanation for 12 years of double life. The lawyers can handle everything from here." He showed up anyway. I'd anticipated that. Had my sister there with me, had my phone ready to call 911. He knocked on the door. I opened it with the chain still on. "We need to talk," he said, looking desperate, disheveled, nothing like the calm, collected David I'd known. "Talk to my lawyer. I love you. I love our kids. Please let me explain." "Explain what? How you have 2 other children? How you've been living with another woman while married to me? How you've lied about every business trip for 12 years? It's complicated. It's really not. You're a cheater and a liar. You built a second family while pretending to be a devoted husband. There's nothing complicated about that. I never meant for it to happen. It started as an affair, and then Jennifer got pregnant, and I couldn't just abandon her, and then it grew into something I couldn't control. You couldn't control it for 12 years? You couldn't control choosing to have a second child with her? You couldn't control buying a house and playing father to her kids while lying to mine? I was trying to do the right thing by everyone. The right thing would have been telling the truth. The right thing would have been choosing one family instead of destroying 2. What about our kids? What are you going to tell them? The truth, that their father is a liar who has other children he never told them about, that everything they thought they knew about our family was fake. Don't do this. Please, we can work through this. There's nothing to work through. I want a divorce. I want full custody. I want you out of our lives except for a supervised visitation if the court grants it. You can't keep my kids from me. Watch me try. You're an unfit parent. You've demonstrated 12 years of deception, financial fraud, and complete disregard for your family's well-being. What judge is going to give you unsupervised access after hearing this? I closed the door, locked it, walked away while he stood outside pleading. He eventually left. I got a restraining order the next day. Temporary, but enough to keep him away from the house. The kids knew something was wrong, Emma especially. She was 13, not stupid. She'd seen the DNA results, seen Jennifer's profile. Mom, who is Jennifer M., the one who came up as my half-sister? I'd been dreading this conversation, but it had to happen. I sat both kids down, told them the truth as gently as I could. Your dad has been lying to us. He has another family in Portland, 2 other children. He's been living with them part-time while telling us he was traveling for work. Emma started crying immediately. Dad has other kids? Yes, a daughter who's 14 and a son who's 11. Does he love them more than us? I don't know what your dad loves. I don't think I ever did. Jake was quieter, processing. Finally, is he coming back? Not to live here. We're getting a divorce. He might visit if the court says he can, but he doesn't live here anymore. They cried, asked questions I couldn't answer, wanted to know why. Why would Dad do this? Why would he lie? Why weren't we enough? I didn't have answers, just held them while they processed their entire reality shifting. Emma asked if she could talk to Jennifer M., her half-sister. Maybe eventually, when things are less raw, when the legal stuff is settled, but not right now. The divorce proceeded quickly by legal standards. David's lawyer tried to argue for joint custody. Catherine demolished that argument. Your client maintained 2 separate families for 12 years through systematic deception. He lied to both partners, lied to all 4 children. He demonstrated complete inability to prioritize his children's well-being over his own desires. He's financially supported 2 households without either partner's knowledge, which constitutes fraud. He's an unfit parent. The judge agreed. Granted me primary custody. David got supervised visitation every other weekend. He was furious. His lawyer filed appeals. Meanwhile, Jennifer filed for child support, established paternity through the DNA tests we'd all taken, pursued David for 12 years of back support plus ongoing payments. Between my divorce settlement and Jennifer's child support, David was financially destroyed. The house went to me, retirement account split. He had to pay child support for 3 children, my 2 and Jennifer's younger son. Jennifer's daughter was about to turn 18, so support for her would end soon. David's lawyer tried to argue he couldn't afford it, that supporting 2 families was impossible. Your client should have thought of that before creating 2 families. He made his choices, now he faces the consequences. David lost his job. The company didn't want the scandal. Sales executive caught living double life made local news. He became unemployable in his field. He tried to reach out multiple times. Letters, emails, messages through mutual friends, all variations of "I'm sorry, I love you, I made mistakes, please forgive me." I never responded. Neither did Jennifer. We'd formed an unlikely alliance, 2 women betrayed by the same man, supporting each other through the legal battles. The kids struggled, Emma especially. She was 13, not stupid. She'd seen the DNA results, seen Jennifer's profile. Mom, who is Jennifer M., the one who came up as my half-sister? I'd been dreading this conversation, but it had to happen. I sat both kids down, told them the truth as gently as I could. Your dad has been lying to us. He has another family in Portland, 2 other children. He's been living with them part-time while telling us he was traveling for work. Emma started crying immediately. Dad has other kids? Yes, a daughter who's 14 and a son who's 11. Does he love them more than us? I don't know what your dad loves. I don't think I ever did. Jake was quieter, processing. Finally, is he coming back? Not to live here. We're getting a divorce. He might visit if the court says he can, but he doesn't live here anymore. They cried, asked questions I couldn't answer, wanted to know why. Why would Dad do this? Why would he lie? Why weren't we enough? I didn't have answers, just held them while they processed their entire reality shifting. 3 years have passed since the DNA test that exposed everything. 3 years since my entire life imploded because my daughter needed Ancestry results for a school project. David has minimal contact with any of his children now. The supervised visitation didn't last. The kids didn't want to see him, didn't trust him, didn't want to rebuild a relationship with someone who'd lied so comprehensively. He sends child support payments,
Court-ordered, garnished from whatever job he manages to keep. He's working in retail now, massive step down from his six-figure sales career. But companies Google candidates, and David's double life is the first thing that comes up. Emma and Jake are healing, slowly. Emma's 16 now, doing well in school despite the trauma. She and Jennifer M., her half-sister, are actual friends. They video chat sometimes, commiserate about having the world's worst dad. Jake is 13, quieter about his feelings, but working through them in therapy. He says he doesn't miss David, doesn't want him at his games or school events. I believe him. Jennifer Martinez and I are cordial. We're not friends exactly, hard to be friends with someone who's a living reminder of your husband's betrayal, but we're allies. We text occasionally, share updates about the kids, coordinate the rare occasions when David tries to contact them. She's dating someone new, someone honest. She's happy, or getting there. I'm not dating, not ready, not sure I'll ever trust anyone enough to risk that kind of betrayal again. My sister feels guilty about the DNA test. "You destroyed my marriage," she said once. "You didn't destroy my marriage," I told her. "David did. You just gave me the tool to discover the truth. I'm grateful. Better to know than live in ignorance." And I mean that. As painful as the truth was, living a lie would have been worse. The financial settlement was substantial. The house is paid off, the kids' college funds are secure. I'm not wealthy, but I'm stable, comfortable, independent. David tried to get the support payments reduced last year, claimed hardship, claimed he couldn't afford to support 3 children on a retail salary. The judge wasn't sympathetic. "You created this situation. You chose to have 4 children with 2 women while maintaining the deception that funded a lifestyle you couldn't actually afford. Your financial hardship is the direct result of your choices." Support payments stayed the same. David works 2 jobs now to make them. Good. I got a letter from him a few months ago. Long, rambling, full of apologies and explanations and self-pity. He wrote about how the double life had started, an affair with Jennifer when I was pregnant with Emma. He'd planned to end it, but then Jennifer got pregnant and he felt responsible, felt like he couldn't abandon her. So instead of choosing, he'd tried to have both, tried to be a husband and father to both families, convinced himself he was doing the right thing by providing for everyone. "I loved both of you," he wrote. "I know that sounds impossible, but it's true. I loved both my families. I didn't want to lose either of you." He wrote about the stress, the constant lying, the elaborate scheduling, the fear of being caught, how it had consumed him for 12 years, but he couldn't see a way out that didn't destroy everything. "When you found out, I was almost relieved," he wrote. "The lying was killing me. I know I hurt everyone. I know I destroyed both families. I know there's no forgiveness, but I want you to know I never meant to hurt you. I just kept making the wrong choices until I couldn't stop." I didn't respond, because nothing he said changed anything. His intentions didn't matter. His stress didn't matter. What mattered was that he'd lied for 12 years, that he'd used our money to support another family, that he'd damaged 4 children who'd done nothing wrong. Some people think I should forgive him, that 3 years is enough time to move past the anger, that holding on to resentment only hurts me. But I'm not holding on to resentment. I'm holding on to boundaries. Forgiving David would mean opening a door I need to keep closed, would mean risking him manipulating his way back into our lives. My kids deserve better than a father who might lie again. I deserve better than a partner I can never trust. So David stays in the past, a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when you trust the wrong person. The DNA test kit is still in my drawer. I kept it. Evidence of how everything unraveled. Sometimes I look at it and think about how one random decision, agreeing to let Emma do a genetics project, exposed 12 years of lies. What if I'd said no? What if the DNA test had never happened? I'd still be married to David, still trusting him, still believing his business trips were real, still raising my kids in a family built on deception. Would that have been better, living in ignorance? No. Because the truth always comes out eventually. Maybe not through a DNA test, maybe through a mistake David made, a slip-up, someone seeing him in Portland with his other family, an email sent to the wrong account. The lies were too big to sustain forever. It was always going to implode. The DNA test just determined when. I'm grateful it happened when it did, while my kids were young enough to heal, while I was young enough to rebuild, while there was still time to create an honest life instead of a false one. People ask what I've learned from all this, what wisdom I've gained from having my marriage exposed as a 12-year lie. Trust, but verify.
Don't ignore red flags because you want to believe the best. Don't assume good intentions explain suspicious behavior. David traveled constantly, spent days away, had a credit card I never looked at, kept parts of his life separate from mine. Those were all red flags. I ignored them because I trusted him. I won't make that mistake again. But I also learned that you can survive betrayal, can rebuild after everything falls apart, can find strength you didn't know you had when there's no choice but to be strong. My kids are resilient. I'm resilient. We're building a life that's honest and real and ours. David isn't part of that. Might never be again. And that's okay. Would I get a DNA test for my kids if I discovered my husband had been lying about working late for 12 years? I did, and it exposed everything, destroyed my marriage, shattered my family, caused years of pain and therapy and rebuilding. And I'd do it again, without hesitation, because living in truth, even painful truth, is better than living in a beautiful lie. The truth cost me my marriage, but it gave me back my reality, my autonomy, my ability to make choices based on actual facts instead of manipulated fiction. That's worth more than the comfortable ignorance I lost. Drop a comment with your platform of choice, thumbs up if you learned something new, repost this post to share with friends, and subscribe for more social media comments.